Good morning, good evening. My name is Cecil Young. I'm coming to you here today to Soundview to express myself in a way where I have not expressed myself before. And I'm basically crying out for all of those of you that are Christians and those of you that believe in God and believe in right and wrong to consider helping me out. As you see here, I have a poster here showing contaminated dirt piles that was at a City of Bridgeport Health Department, okay? And it was not removed and it had been left there for months and months and months. And kids have been playing on these contaminated dirt piles for a long time. And as a result of that, okay, we now find ourselves, okay, with kids possibly coming down with cancer and other things, okay, unbeknown to them as to why they got it, how they got it, because they were playing on a contaminated dirt pile that was dug up at the Bridgeport City Health Department. The health department is where people go when they want to go for the WIC programs and all the other benefits in terms of those who need that kind of assistance from the city health department. And I was concerned about that. So I was being told by city health inspectors that this here is piles that need to be removed and should have been removed a long time ago. But because they feared the repercussions of complaining about that, they told me as a community activist, I jumped on it and responded to it. And as a result of that, I've been banned from City Hall now as of April of 18 last year. Okay, I've been banned from City Hall speaking about these contaminated dirt piles and about how they treated me. And the reason why I speak about that was because they treated me like I had no rights to speak out. In America, I do have a right to speak. And as you see here, they accused me of so-called being terminated for not coming to work. And you see here, March 20th, my dear, could you read the reflection number March 20th?
March 20th, 2006. The letter is addressed to you. Dear Mr. Young, you are advised via letter from Labor Relations dated March 10th, 2006, that you must return to work immediately or you will be deemed to have voluntarily resigned your position as a security guard with the City of Bridgeport. As of Friday, March 17th, you have not returned to work. There is no valid reason for your absence. Therefore, your absence is considered unauthorized and your employment with the city is hereby terminated effective immediately.
Signed, Mary Evans, Director of Health Department.
Yes.
And what troubles me is that you have city officials who are being paid by the taxpayers to serve us, not to violate our rights, not to violate the public trust. And in my case, you will see that they did just that. And it really troubles me because you will see here documentation in black and white showing on the date in question that they fired me on so-called March 20th. You will see here, according to this time card, showing that on March 16th, I did return to work, and I worked for an hour and a half, which I was supposed to only work 3 hours that day because I was out up on the medical leave as well. And it troubled me because they also knew that I would be going for a colon exam on the 17th, okay, which was the following date. And they knew that all I wanted was to be able to have time off from work, which my Dr. Walter had wrote a letter to the health department indicating that Cecil Young is being treated by him and that he needed a medical leave of absence. I've sent several letters to the health department, requested a medical leave, and they refused each letter, saying that the letter needed to be signed by the doctor. It was signed by the nurse, okay? So no problem. Ended up signing it by the doctor. Here's the doctor's signature. Now here's one note that they denied, which was signed by the nurse. I ended up having the doctor have to sign one. He signed it. Here's the way he writes. He makes a loop. Here is his original letter here, letterhead here showing his signature again, that he referred me to Dr. Wainick, who was a psychiatrist, who I've been seeing for the last 17 years, who's been treating me for extreme anxiety. Okay, and it troubles me that as a taxpayer, as a homeowner, that someone can be persecuted and be lied on, okay, and been allowed to get away with it. Here's a pay stub showing that on March 16, 2006, I got paid. Here's the pay stub showing that.
For an hour and a half.
For an hour and a half. It shows
Yes.
that I got paid for that. Yet and still, they put over here March 20th that I did not return to work. How could they lie and get away with such a thing? It also troubles me because in America, you know, we believe in free speech. In America, we don't treat people like this is a communist state. This is the United States. You see that flag there? That is an American flag. I am an American citizen. I am a taxpayer. I am a homeowner. You see on that date, 3/16/06, I got married by Judge Paul Ganem, probate court Judge Paul Ganem, married me on that date. Here's the marriage certificate that he signed confirming the fact that on that date I got married. Why am I being persecuted? Why am I being lied to, being defamed? My name is being written as a no-show when I have worked for the city for 27 and a half years, but because I dared enough to want to speak out about contaminated dirt piles, I can be persecuted, and they get away with it. And what troubles me is that the people that persecuted me were the ones that supposed to be protecting me, protecting my rights. And who am I talking about? I'm talking about the state of Connecticut, state labor board commissioners who were appointed by the state of Connecticut, by the governor. The governor appoints these commissioners to sit on these boards. Labor board commissioners are supposed to be biased. They're supposed to be fair and impartial. You will see here, based on the evidence here, that there was no way in the world that I should have been terminated. And I said to myself, why could they do such a thing? So because of my anger, because of me knowing how the system operates to a degree, I requested a Freedom of Information request. From the Freedom of Information, they sent me documentation showing how much they got paid and why they got paid and what they got paid for. Now you will see here with Albert Murphy, okay, he got $700 for the first hearing. That was the termination hearing. They agreed with the city that the city was justifiable in terminating me for not coming to work, which you've seen in black and white that I did come to work. You've seen in black and white my wife in a photograph and the marriage certificate showing that we got married, and she was put on my insurance policy at that same time. And also at the same time, my medical benefits were denied me. They would not honor my medical benefits, but they'd honor my wife because she was sick, okay, and apparently, okay, they knew that she was really going through a lot in terms of the smoking that she was putting on herself, in terms of the smoking that she was doing. So it ended up basically leading to her demise because she ended up for 17 years smoking herself to death, trying to help me get the justice that I deserve because she knew that they violated my rights. So she stood by me. Mike Cohad, you see his name up here as well, okay, showing that he got paid with the labor board commissioners justifying the city action to terminate me. Mike Cohad got paid for that. Yet and still, Mike Cohad, when I requested my medical benefits to be honored, Mike Cohad, who sat on the termination board, okay, Mike Cohad, when I requested my medical benefits to be honored, he sat and acted like he didn't know nothing about it. When he know good and well, any employee who works for the city that is in a union, which I was in at the time, have a right to continue medical benefits as long as they file a grievance within an ample amount of time. Within 20 days, I filed that grievance the next day. Okay, so they had hearings. Well, Mike Cohad got again paid what? $225 the first hearing, $150 the second hearing, $150 the third hearing, second hearing, the third hearing, and another $150 the fourth hearing. I mean, $575. That's what Mike Cohad got, knowing good and well that I had a right to these medical benefits because he knew that terminated employees have a right for medical benefits if they file a grievance. I filed a grievance. Mike Cohad knew that. Yet and still he kept his mouth shut, did not say anything because he was getting paid off by the city. He was getting paid off by the state. Because in the labor board hearings, there's no recording of what goes on in the labor board in terms of their discussion. They rule based on what they want to rule on. There's no recording. There's no phonographer recording what's being said in these hearings. That is why they were able to commit the kind of fraud that he committed. Now, Mike Cohen, along with Gerald Weiner, okay, who's the chairman of the state labor board as well, he likewise got paid $225 the first hearing, $150 the second hearing, another $150 the third hearing, another $150 the next hearing. That's four. Another $175, okay, the next hearing. The chairman of the state of Connecticut, Gerald Weiner, got $850 pertaining to my medical benefits. Did I have the right to receive it or not? I did have that right, and they still to this day have not honored that right. I filed a grievance. Gerald Weiner conspired with the city of Bridgeport to cover up, knowing good and well that I filed a grievance, but yet and still because of that kickback money that they were getting, Mike Cohad and Gerald Weiner, okay, they played along with the system. Now Albert Murphy, Okay, I can't say he committed fraud because he only dealt with the termination part. He was biased. He was prejudiced. He showed his bias, okay, by ruling against me, by lying on my doctor when he said my doctor's notes were literally straps of paper. These are not straps of papers. These are doctor's notes from Dr. Albert Walter. What was the problem with his doctor's notes? Was it because he was black? It's not about black and white, because he was a good doctor who served white and black. This is about right and wrong. Look at all the files in my letter that my wife had wrote at that time before she passed away. The Labor Board, the federal government, the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office. Now, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do after 27 and a half years? I can be terminated and be lied on, okay, by city and state officials covering up an unjust termination. And look at what the Labor Board, the City Attorney's Office responded from Labor Relations. Respond. Let's do Labor Relations response. Could you respond?
Okay. This letter is to FO, March 22nd, 2018. The first letter is addressed to you, Cecil Young. Dear Mr. Young, this correspondence is a follow-up to a letter that I sent to you at the request and courtesy of City Councilman Ernest Newton of February 8th, 2018. Councilman Newton's request was that I review your termination from the City of Bridgeport. After a thorough review of the documents submitted on your behalf and the retrieval of other documents from the archive department, it is my conclusion and assessment that the city and the union acted properly and followed all policy and procedures in your termination. It has been determined that the ruling in your termination was justified and lawful. We wish you much success in all your future endeavors. Sincerely, Janine Hawkins, Director of Office of Labor Relations.
And what is sad about that? For her to lie and to give the impression that she went to the archives to dig up information pertaining to whether or not was I at work on that date. To say that she have all of that above information. Well, she can sure enough count on me requesting under the Freedom of Information Act all of that information that she so-called dug up on me to justify what she said in that letter. Now, she was promoted after she made that remark. She now is the mayor's chief aide. She's now one of the mayor's chief hatchet men. Okay? A black woman, a hatchet man for the mayor. Why? Why would she lie on me? Lie on my council member? When my council member Ernest Newton have this same information that I've been giving y'all for the last 5 hearings that I've been having here showing on Community Soundview TV, Councilman Ernest Newton and all of the other council members have this information. And what troubles me is that these are black folks that were put in positions like people like you and me to help them become the power that they have. And for them to turn around, okay, and for them to turn around and to ignore our cries and to have me have to go down to City Hall month after month complaining to them when they looking to see if whether or not my termination was justifiable or not. And now you see yourself after reviewing all this information that the city was not justifiable, yet and still this is what the labor relations person at that time said to the U.S. Attorney's Office pertaining to my complaint. Can you believe what she said? She lied to the feds. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the feds you better not lie to, but she lied to it on what I said here. Personnel director lied and getting away with this by lying to the U.S. Attorney's Office, by saying she dug up all this information. Well, I hope she'll be ready to produce it because I'm going to sure enough put pressure on the city attorney, the U.S. Attorney's Office, to dig up this information because she's outright lying. And she should be prosecuted for that. I remember back in the days when Newton and them was got in charges for so-called campaign finance and whatever it is. They told, I think it was at that time, Clement, at the time, state rep at the time, that when the feds asked them a question and they lied, that they could have been prosecuted for that. Well, she lied on me. She should be prosecuted for what she lied on me about. And I'm saying to you, listen to what she said.
Okay. This is the second letter that went out the same date, March 22nd, 2018, to the U.S. State Attorney's Office, downtown Bridgeport. It goes to whom it may concern, and read a complaint from Cecil Young. This correspondence is being delivered in response to a letter that was delivered to your office from Mr. Cecil Young. I am enclosing correspondence delivered and received on behalf of Mr. Young. My office has completed the investigation into Mr. Young's complaint. It appears that Mr. Young is dissatisfied with the outcome of the scene. After a thorough investigation into Mr. Young's complaint, it is my conclusion that the city and the union acted properly in the termination of his employment. I would like to take this opportunity to request that this matter be registered into your database as quote-unquote closed. Thank you in advance for your assistance. Respectfully, Janine Hawkins, Director of Office of Labor Relations.
I mean, the feds should drag her out of her office, and I would like to be with them when they drag her out of her office for lying. She even lied on my union. The union did not agree with her. I recorded that meeting. It was only the union and labor person representing me and the two labor board commissioners, Mike Coad and Gerald Weiner, Albert Murphy, on the termination part. There was only 3 people involved. The union representatives say he was in my favor. I have recorded him saying that either Mr. Young was here before March 20th or otherwise he's out of here.
Right.
But since I was there, okay, the question is, why was he terminated? I have that on a recording, and I can play that for you all as well. She lied, and I have the evidence to back it up. Now, to have this woman send a letter to the U.S. Attorney's Office, okay, and to lie, and to get away with it, and to be promoted to be the mayor's chief of aide, and now she's running around and chopping people's heads off like, yo. And you know what troubles me is that I'm so turned off with these politicians that I'm about ready to give it up altogether. For 60-something years, I've been out there in the eye of the storm helping our people do all I could to make our neighborhoods safe. I'm concerned about community policing. I'm concerned about making our neighborhoods safe. Okay, that's why I thank God for Soundview. Okay, thank God for you two and Soundview TV for what they're doing for me in terms of them showing all of the information that I've been bringing forward to you. This is who I am. I'm a community activist. I speak out about injustice. I speak out about things that will help make our neighborhoods safe for people of all color, black, white, Puerto Rican, Jew, what have you. It don't matter the color of your skin. It's the content of your character, and that's what I'm concerned about, and that's what I want in our neighborhoods. And I'm saying to you, it's a shame that this here assistant U.S. Attorney's Office from Blumenthal's office, okay, that the assistant U.S. Attorney's Office can file a complaint on my behalf, okay, and make sure that that complaint is being handled properly by giving me a case number and a file number that I can forward other information to pertaining to this matter, okay? Yet and still, the Attorney General's office now tells us, Attorney General Tung, that they can't find anything. What do you mean you can't find anything? This is the assistant State Attorney General Mitchell who made this complaint on my behalf. He gathered all this information that I gave y'all, that I showed y'all, that is on Soundview. If you go to Soundview for the last 4 or 5 weeks have been recording all of the documentation in black and white showing y'all, okay, that I deserve to be treated right, that I deserve to be reinstated back to my job. I deserve to get my name cleared. Now here again is another letter from the Assistant City Attorney, Russell Liskoff, telling me he has issues with people suing the city. I'm a city sheriff at the time. I also was working for the city at the time. And they terminated me because of those terminated dirt piles. So he has issues with me suing the city? I have a right to sue the city if they violated my rights. But yet and still, he took away my sheriff work. Russell Liskoff, the Assistant City Attorney, took away my sheriff work and told me to refrain from dealing with him from here on out until my issues are resolved because he has issues with people that are suing the city. He has issues with people that are suing the city. Not issues with those of them that are violating the public trust, not issues with those of them that are violating the taxpayers' dollars by covering up for corrupt officials. You wonder why cops do what they do, some of the cops that do what they do, in terms of how they treat some of our people at times, because they know that they got a city attorney that's going to protect their interests regardless of what they do. And that is our problem. And I say even Mark Anastasia, I like Mark Anastasia. Mark Anastasia gave me quite a bit of WPCA summons to do, so I respect him for that. And I respect him for the fact that he was defending the city because that was his job as a city attorney. But Mark, it's got to stop. When people who work for the city violate the public trust, they should not be protected. They should be taken out, not defended. That is the reason why these police officers sometimes they do what they do because they know they're going to be protected. Okay, there's no way in the world this kind of stuff should go on. I was watching a program the other night where his brother was pulled over by the cops, and he happened to pull out his phone, and the police told him, he said, give me your registration or whatever. And the brother had his hands up saying, that he can go into his glove department and pull out no identification because he feared that he might get shot. Because the cop had his gun on him, tell him to give me your registration, and he got the gun on the brother, tell him give me your registration. And the brother saying, hold up now, I ain't reaching for nothing. You see my hands are here. I ain't going nowhere. My hands are in the air, officer. I'm getting out of the car like this. You're not gonna have me reach and then you fire me and kill me. And believe me, that's what would have happened. You would have seen the intensity of that officer with that gun on that man for a little minor traffic violation, ready to pop him, to kill him, and get away with it. The brother said, no, you're not going to do me like that. I'm getting out of here with my hands up. I'm not going to dig up or nothing. And he went home safe that night for a little minor traffic violation. And I'm saying to y'all, what happened in New York the other day where that brother was acting wild in the subway, and this other brother ran up on him and he grabbed him, and two other people grabbed him, and they had him restrained, okay? And now we look at, is that going to cause a problem down the road with white folks and black folks? Because I see white folks and black folks marching about injustice. Now I see the way that brother had that brother on the ground with the chokehold, and the way he had him choking him. I mean, he could have released him a little bit. He didn't have to choke him out. He had three other people with him holding him down. But now the question is, he had the right to do something because somebody had to do something. Well, he did something, but he didn't have to overdo it. That's like the police. You don't have to overdo it to restrain us. He was on his back. There was three of y'all. But because he was trained in how to restrain someone, how to make him weak at the knees, he kept him locked in that position. For what? He didn't kill nobody. He didn't cut nobody. He was acting a fool. That's all he was doing, acting a fool, out of bounds. He didn't deserve to be treated the way he was treated. And these are the reasons why we got the problem we got, because good people should get involved, but you got to be conscious about how far are you to get involved. You remember there was not too long ago, a father and a son, a brother was running through the neighborhood jogging, okay, and the father and the son ended up shooting him, killing him. The father and the son, two white men, are in jail now because they thought this black man had robbed somebody, had broken somebody's house or done something wrong. So they ran him down. Next thing you know, the man was dead. Because of what? Because of perception of what you think of people of color when you see them moving through the neighborhood. And I can understand it. I got people that look like me and you that I got to look out for before I go to sleep. I got to lock my door double before I go to sleep. I got a neighbor. Let me tell you about my neighbor. 2 years, 20 minutes after 12 o'clock, I get a knock on my door. My daughter come upstairs, Daddy, what's up? And the neighbor across the street, he's bleeding at the face, his nose bleeding at the face, and he's on my porch. Daddy, this is 12:20 at New Year's night. I come downstairs, what's up, brother? Hey, man, he said, 4 brothers. I was pulling up in front of my house. Now, he was either followed, he's a white brother, and he goes with his Spanish sister across the street. He got a child by her. They were together for a long time, doing good. Now, I don't see his car there no more. I don't see him around no more. Why? Was it because he was beat down? His nose was bloody. His head was bloody. He was kicked and beaten in front of his own house. My daughter brought a towel from the house and covered up his blood. I called the police, and the police showed up and treated him. And he said, I said, what happened? He said, I was pulling up, and the car pulled up behind me, and 4 young black men jumped out the car, broke my window, dragged me out the car, beat me down. He bleeding like a pig been slit open. I called the police, they all come. They come and they treat him, and you got to go to the hospital. Your head is wide open. You got to go to the hospital. So they took him to the hospital. We look in the paper the next day, they said he got mugged someplace else. No, he got mugged on my street. He got robbed on my street. He got beat down on my street. How dare you report it that he got mugged someplace else? Why these reports was not done right like they should have been done to make sure that those folks who lived on my street will know that there's somebody and people in our neighborhoods that are creeping around in the middle of the night looking for somebody to prey on. And he became a victim of that. But he's no longer there anymore. And I feel sorry for the sister. I feel sorry for his daughter. I feel sorry for my white brothers and sisters that have left this neighborhood and have left our city because of things that happen that we sometimes that don't want to realize that we need to do something about these things that are going on that are affecting our brothers and sisters, whether they be black, white, Puerto Rican, Jew, what have you. I grew up with a lot of good white folks. One by the name of Patrick, he used to give me a half a bag of meat at the First National Grocery Store. Every Saturday, I'd bring home a half a bag of meat that he would give me after cleaning up in the store and being security guard in the store as a kid. So a lot of good white folks are out there in our neighborhoods that care about people like you and me. And I'm saying to the white folks, I'm going to ask you to call in the future to tell me how do you feel about what I've been talking about. Do you agree? Check out Soundview, and you will find out all of what I've been saying for the last 5 months. It's on what?
www.soundviewtv.com, or if you log into YouTube, Soundview Community Media.
Thank you very much. God bless y'all. I hope y'all respond to me. I need your prayers, but I need action behind your prayers. Prayers without action is fruitless. We need to bear fruit and cultivate that fruit so it will bring us the kind of harvest that will motivate us to fly like big birds and move forward and do God's will as he calls us to do it. Who are my brother's keeper? You are my brother's keeper, and I am your brother's sister. May God be with you till the next time. Thank you. And may peace be upon you, as they call shalom, and all of the above. May it continue to be with you for the rest of the days of your life. Let us not go to the graveyard without analyzing the value of death. Death is something that you need to realize is going to come to all of us. Do what you can while you can, because tomorrow may be too late. See you right.